Um, in the past few years, we have seen an eruption of social movements, such as Dr. Daly, you were mentioning the Black Lives Matter movement. But at the same time, we see the eruption of counter movements, for example, against teaching critical race theory. In your view, what is the importance? Why is it important for students to know the history of racial injustice? And how is the race, ethnic, and indigenous studies program at Marquette preparing students to address the history of racial injustice? So this question has two parts. Perhaps we can start with Dr. Daly, and Dr. Rivera can continue.
Yeah, okay. So I think in terms of critical race theory, again, Kimberly Crenshaw is the one who kind of planted what critical race theory was, which, now critical race theory has recently become kind of co-opted by conservatives in the United States out of a position of fear, out of a position, I think, of shamefulness, of kind of arrogance, and about really fear of being threatened, right? That their sort of one history is going to somehow be eradicated. And again, going back to the idea of expansion, like what I see critical race theory as saying, there are many voices at the table. There are many different embodied experiences of history in this country and the present in this country. And all that critical race theory is trying to draw attention to is this multiplicity and kind of plethora of perspectives. It is not trying to threaten, right? That dominant cultures are not under threat, right? Unfortunately, right, by nature of being dominant cultures, they're not, they're not going to suddenly disappear. The white man is not going to disappear. It is more just saying, can there be many voices, right, in the classroom? Can there be multiple perspectives on history? So I think, to the second part of the question, it is the most opportune time of ever for there to be critical race, ethnic, and indigenous studies programs at universities. Students, whether they think so right now or not, are going to confront a world, a professional world, wherein they are going to have to confront difference of opinion, different experiences, different languages. And this, we want to give students the tools to have difficult conversations, right? They might feel uncomfortable, but they're going to kind of come out of those conversations as a more informed, again, more nuanced citizen in the world. And I think more democratic, right? Democracy is about representation, right? About kind of everyone being seen. Steph, I don't know. Want to jump in?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I would just add that I think one of the kind of central ways in which we think about critical race, ethnic, and indigenous studies is that it is the perspective of what history actually is and has been, right? It's just not the story we like to tell. So when we're thinking about what it means to prepare students to have those difficult conversations, it's not just being able to prepare them for those conversations. It's a shift in perspective that understands that the fact that they sit where they sit, on the land that they sit, that the world around them looks the way it does, is the result of processes of colonization, of settler colonial imperial processes, for instance, that make their worlds now possible, right? And make those conversations even more demanding, right? So it's not an additive like, oh, and you need to be able to talk about race, and you need to be able to talk about indigenous people, right? But it's that these are the central questions to what it means to be a person who lives, at least, right, where we're sitting, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, for the sake of argument, right? What does it mean to actually be in this place at this moment? Well, it means that we sit on stolen lands, right? What happened there, right? That's to tell a more truthful story about how we've all arrived, that then prepares everybody, I think, to be better seated at those conversations, right? So again, just pointing that it's not an an additive model, right? But a shifting of perspective of what is history to begin with, right? Of what a language is, of what a culture is, right? And how those things are possible.
Thank you.